Do you ever feel stuck as an artist, burned out, and even uninspired? Sometimes I feel this way too, and I just wanted to talk about different ways that I've been able to keep on going, not burning out, and having new ideas, new concepts, and everything through my own life experience. And we can draw these concepts out through our own independent life experiences, our surroundings, what we really are inspired by, and keep that creativity alive and flowing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between burnout and creative block. So a common cause is perfectionism, comparison, overproduction, and isolation. We really need to understand we're not always going to be perfect. If we wanted a painting to be perfect, we would actually probably work on that painting for years, It takes a lot for us to be able to step away from the canvas and move on to something else. Another thing is just comparing ourselves to our masters, which, when you think about it, comparing yourself to like an art master or the people that we look up to is already just like lying to yourself, because you're really just looking at what that person has accomplished and not the hard work that they've been through. This is something that I feel is a problem with the state of art in YouTube, is these people always say, like, learn how to make $10,000 a week from your art, and that's just completely unrealistic. You want to start off with at least making like $50 a week from your art, You're just on the ground level, baby. Like, you need to understand where you are. You know what I mean? So try not to compare yourself. Also, this is something I'm a little conflicted with, is overproduction. Working on too many things at once and just constantly working. You see, this is something that I have a little bit of a problem with because I'm always consistent and trying to get ends meet. But every once in a while, you need to be able to put the brush down and go out and enjoy your life. You get your inspiration from your surroundings. That's something we don't really realize too much. I think it's a good idea to be a little more aware of exactly what you're consuming in your life, and produce work that is inspired by that consumption. Really what I'm saying is you have to be curious and observant of like everyday moments, because those everyday moments can give you inspiration and wisdom for your next painting. You know what I mean? It's like even a single sentence can create a work. You know what I mean? Like, think of like a quote that you've heard or something like that really touches you. And I want you to kind of try to create a visual landscape on that exact subject, Inspiration, it doesn't really have to come from other art. It can even come from your life. Just having a simple conversation with a friend can really produce a new work for you. I remember one time I was having a really not tough conversation, but a conversation that was very strong. And it was all because of a painting that I had, and that conversation inspired me to create a new piece. And I was based on that conversation, about that instant of having a tough talk that is also beneficial to both parties, And what I would say is like how you can exactly create through these life experiences and everything is journaling. And what I mean by journaling is you don't have to do like these huge elaborate paragraphs and stuff like that. Just like little entries. Like, for instance, in my notes, if I ever really find anything that I'm inspired by, I write it in my notes in my iPad, right? So I have like, these are very obscure sort of things, but the idea is like to have something very abstract and then create something on top of that. So here's a couple examples, like free will as a moral proposition. That's an example of a painting that I want to create. Transcendence through transgression. The modern world is divided between those that numb itself to its meaninglessness through various substances and various hedonisms, and those who realize it and go crazy. So, you see what I mean? Like, these are just like sentences, statements, and everything that I've heard or somebody's told me that help produce my art. That and focusing on what exactly I am learning in the real world as well. What am I consuming? I am a Advent YouTube scroller, and I'm always looking at like just a bunch of random stuff, videos on educational things, really, on like the cosmos, on philosophy, on theology, you know what I mean? Like using what I am looking at to create my next artwork. And in so doing that is also reflecting on my thoughts and ideas on that. And it's just a always revolving door of different ideas and everything. So you should always just keep your eyes open. Train yourself to notice details, like what mood does this put me in? What colors are associated with that mood? What is a great like language of movement that can produce the exact visualization that I want for this piece? So you have to be present and really focus on these sort of things. Just to use your surroundings as a living reference library. I like the way that sounds. A living reference library. That is your experience, and you're trying to capture that on the canvas. Here we go. I'm going to talk about art as a form of reflection for yourself. And we already covered this a lot. So just letting art be a conversation with yourself and the world around you. Like I said, just reflecting on these moods, conversations, these statements, these books, whatever you are creating, whatever you're looking at, as a reflection around you. And using your work to process that and understand it and understand yourself, Also, I would say just learn to love the process of it, not just like the end product. That's something that I always get held up on a lot, is just the end product, which is finishing a painting, So here are a couple tips that I want you to do just to stay inspired and everything. Take intentional breaks whenever you're working. Walks, time in nature, journaling, whatever you need to do, Create without, I don't know, create without pressure. Just set your own timetables, but be really realistic with yourself, you know, and reflect regularly on why you create, why you're making this piece, you know. So I just wanted to create this video to emphasize that your life is your greatest source of inspiration, and to slow down, pay attention, and let life shape your work. Let me know in the comments below what's something from your life that's inspired your creativity lately. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please click that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys with my next artwork. Peace.